Hello everyone, it's Hunter and welcome back to my channel. If you're not new here, you'll notice something different about me. I chopped off all my hair. I decided to get the new mom haircut before my baby comes so that I can get used to it. So yay, I'm excited about it and I really love it, so I hope you guys like it too, but if you don't, it doesn't matter because it's done already. But anyway, today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top 10 reads of 2022. My last book video was every single book I read in 2022, so I thought I would take a moment to get together every single book and evaluate which ones were my absolute favorites. So I have my top 10. I'm going to give you my rating. Obviously my rating is going to be 5 stars on all of these. They are my favorite books from 2022 and I'll give you a brief description of them, and then I also have a couple of honorable mentions that I wanted to just like mention. I'm not going to describe them or anything, but wanted to share those as well just because I got to making this list and I like kept writing stuff down. So with that being said, before we get started, I would love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and let's go ahead and get started. So the first, I do have a couple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these books. I have like more than half of these books in a physical copy, which makes me really excited, but that just means that I really love them if I have the physical copy. So the first book on my list is my favorite from the year. The rest of these books are in no particular order, but this one was by far my favorite for the whole year. It is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this has actually made its way into my top of all time. So I am just going to go ahead and read the description on the back because I feel like that's the easiest way for me to give you guys a description that's not like overwhelming. So Daisy is a girl coming of age in LA in the late 60s, sneaking into clubs on the Sunset Strip, sleeping with rock stars and dreaming of singing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Her voice is getting noticed and she has the kind of heelless beauty that makes people do crazy things. Also getting noticed is the Six, a band led by the brooding Billy Dunn. On the eve of their first tour, his girlfriend Camilla finds out she's pregnant, and with the pressure of impending fatherhood and fame, Billy goes a little wild on the road. Daisy and Billy cross paths when a producer realizes that the key to the supercharged success is to put the two together. What happens next will become the stuff of legend. The making of that legend is chronicled in this riveting novel written as if it were the oral history of one of the biggest bands of the 70s. I don't know what it is about this book, but it just made me feel so deeply, and obviously like I read a lot of books, so some of them are fantastic and some of them are not so fantastic, but this one, it just made me feel so deeply. I cried the first time I read it, and then I also listened to the audiobook, and it was an entirely different experience, and I actually loved it as an audiobook even more. It was so incredible. I cannot recommend it enough if you haven't read this book. The TV series is coming out, I think maybe on Hulu. I'm not sure if it's Hulu, it might be Amazon Prime TV. I'm not positive, but it's coming out in March and I'm so excited to watch it, and just to see these characters come to life is gonna be a dream come true. The next book on this list is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. Ashley Flowers is the host and creator of the Crime Junkie podcast, and when I found out she was coming out with a fiction novel, I was so excited. So let me go ahead and pull up the description. I was very impressed by it, and I think the reason why I was so impressed by it is because she talks about true crime. So the fact that this is not about a true thing is really cool to me. So let's see, we have a journalist uncovers her hometown's dark secrets when she becomes obsessed with the unsolved murder of her childhood neighbor and the disappearance of another girl 20 years later. Everyone from Wakarusa, Indiana remembers the case of January Jacobs, who was found dead in a ditch after her family awoke to find her gone. Margot Davies was 6 at the time, the same age as January, and they were next door neighbors. In the 20 years since, Margot's grown up, moved away, and become a big city journalist. But she's always been haunted by the fear that it could have been her. The worst part is, January's killer has never been brought to justice. When Margot returns home to help care for her sick uncle, it feels like walking into a time capsule. Wakarusa is exactly how she remembered, genial, stifled, and secretive. The news breaks about a 5-year-old Natalie Clark from the next town over who's gone missing under eerily similar circumstances. With all the old feelings rushing back, Margot vows to find Natalie and solve January's murder once and for all. But the police, the family, and the townspeople, they all seem to be hiding something, and the deeper Margot digs into Natalie's disappearance, the more resistance she encounters and the colder January's case feels. Could the killer still be out there? Could it be the same person who kidnapped Natalie, and what will it cost to finally discover what truly happened that night? I don't know, I just thought it was a very well thought out story. Also, like, you are kept on your toes until the very end, quite literally till the very end. I thought thought that everything was all said and done, only to find out there was a huge plot twist at the end, and it was a very satisfying end. So I really enjoyed that book, and I would recommend to anybody who really loves true crime, but also anybody who just likes thriller novels. I thought it was a perfect debut for a novel. The next book is one that I read as an advanced reader's copy through NetGalley, but I really enjoyed it. It is out now. It's called Meredith Alone by Claire Alexander, and I really loved this book. I feel like it wasn't really like my normal vibe of books, but let me just pull up the description real quick. This is a short description, but it says she has a full-time remote job and her rescue cat Fred. Her best friend Sadie visits with her 2 children. There's her online support group, her jigsaw puzzles, and her favorite recipes. Her beloved Emily Dickinson, the internet, and the grocery delivery man. Also keeping her company are treacherous memories of an unstable childhood, the estrangement from her sister, and a traumatic event that sent her reeling. But something's about to change. Whether Meredith likes it or not, the world is coming to her door. Does she have the courage to overcome what's been keeping her inside all this time? I think I like this because I've read other books that are like agoraphobic, or people who like don't leave their house. This is about Meredith, who obviously does not leave her house due to a traumatic event, but she's also like reflecting on her past. And there are moments in the book where she thinks that she's going to finally leave her house and she doesn't, and you get so excited for her, and then she's so disappointed in herself because she doesn't leave. And I think I really liked this because while I've never experienced her trauma before, so I can't say that I know what it feels like. However, I have dealt with mental health issues both personally and with people that I love, and I think it's important to note that progress and recovery are not linear, and so taking 3 steps forward and taking a step back, like that 1 step back is not the end of the world because you're still moving forward, and I feel like that is displayed very heavily in this book. So if you're someone who is struggling with anything, honestly, I feel like that is a very good way to describe what it's like to heal from something. And just know that if you are taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, you are still moving forward, and that's okay. Like, you don't always have to take 100 steps forward every time you need to do something. So I definitely really enjoyed that, just because I felt like it was much more mundane than like your typical like thriller or even a romance novel, but I just felt like it was very true to life, and I really enjoyed that. The next book on this list is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica, and the things I would do to be able to read this book for the first time again. People don't just disappear without a trace. Shelby Thibault is the first to go missing. Then Meredith Dickey and her 6-year-old daughter Delilah vanish just blocks away from where Shelby was last seen, striking fear into their once peaceful community. After an elusive search that yields more questions than answers, the case eventually goes cold. Now, 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns. Everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared for what they'll find. And some people will stop at nothing to keep the truth buried. Literally, I don't even know how to describe it. This was one of the best thrillers I've ever read. It genuinely kept me on my toes the whole time. You thought you knew what was happening and you didn't, and literally up until the very end, like, it's plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, but I don't think it was overdone, which is really nice. It goes back and forth between before and after and different, so like this one says Meredith 11 years before. So it goes back and forth between the present and the past, and honestly, it's just so good. I highly recommend. The next book on this list is one that my husband got me for Christmas last year and was completely unexpected favorite for me. It's What You Wish For by Catherine Center, and like I said, it was completely unexpected for me. So it's about Samantha Casey. She is a school librarian who loves her life and lives it with genuine, playful, heartfelt joy. But she wasn't always that way. Duncan Carpenter is the new school principal who lives by rules and regulations, guided by the knowledge that bad things can happen. But he wasn't always that way. And Sam knows it because she knew him before, at another school in a different life. Back then she loved him, but she was invisible. To him, to everyone, even to herself. She escaped to a new school, a new job, a new chance at living. But when Duncan, of all people, gets hired as the new principal there, it feels like the best thing that could possibly happen to the school, and the worst thing that could possibly happen to Sam. Until the opposite turns out to be true. The lovable Duncan she'd known is now a suit and tie wearing, rule enforcing tough guy, so heck bent on protecting the school that he's willing to destroy it. As the school community spirals into chaos and danger from all corners looms large, Sam and Duncan must find their way to who they really are, what it means to be brave, and how to take a chance on love, which is the riskiest move of all. I really liked this. One, it takes place in Galveston, which I thought was cool because I had been to Galveston. I got this in 2020. Well, I got this book for Christmas in 2021 and I went to Galveston in 2021, so I thought it was cool because I was like able to see like the places they were talking about in my head. And I think I was so surprised by this one because I'd never heard of it. I'd never even heard of this author before, and since I've read other books by this author and really enjoyed them as well. But I think I really liked it because it's a love story, but it's not a romance, if that makes sense. sense. Like, the love story is part of the story, but it is not the story, if that makes sense. That's not the only thing that happens. I feel like there's a lot of growth among the characters, and I really like this book because it shows that you never really know what's going on with someone until you take the time to learn, and also you cannot have help if you don't tell people what's going on in your life. So I really like that because I felt like it was very much more like real life, and I liked that it was not just like strictly romance. The next book I read in 2022 that I loved was Meet Me in the Margins by Melissa Ferguson. I also had the opportunity to read this one as an advanced reader's copy from NetGalley, but it was so good. I'm pulling it up. It gave me really good feelings. So here's the description. Savannah Cade's dreams are coming true. The Claire Donovan, editor-in-chief, is the most successful romance imprint in the country, has requested to see the manuscript Savannah's been secretly writing while working as an editor herself. Except in her publishing house, the philosophy is only highbrow works are worth printing in commercial fiction, particularly romance, should be deserved for the lowest level of Dante's Inferno. But when Savannah drops her manuscript during a staff meeting and nearly exposes herself to the whole company, including William Pennington, the new publisher and son of the romance-despising CEO herself, she races to hide her manuscript in the secret turret room at the old Victorian office. When she returns, she's dismayed to discover that someone has not only been in her hidden nook, but has written notes in the margins, quite critical ones. But when Claire's own reaction turns out to be nearly identical to the scribbled remarks, and worse, Claire announces that Savannah has 6 weeks to resubmit before she retires, Savannah finds herself forced to seek the help of her shadowy editor after all. As their notes back and forth start to fill the pages, however, Savannah finds him not just becoming pivotal in her work, but her life. There's no doubt about it, she's falling for her mystery editor, if only she knew who it was. And truthfully, I feel like the whole time you kind of like can guess who. It's very much like she doesn't know who it is, but like you can kind of figure out who it is. But I don't know, it just gave me like all the warm fuzzies, and some people may not like it because it seemed a little bit predictable. Like I said, you can guess who the editor is throughout the book, but I thought it was really cute and gave me lots of feel-good feelings. The next book on this list is The Wives by Taryn Fisher, and this book blew my mind, okay? Imagine that your husband has 2 other wives. You've never met the other wives. None of you know each other, and because of this unconventional arrangement, you see your husband only 1 day a week, but you love him so much you don't care. Or at least that's what you've told yourself. But one day, while you're doing laundry, you find a scrap of paper in his pocket, an appointment reminder for a woman named Hannah, and you just know it's another of the wives. You thought you were fine with your arrangement, but you can't help yourself. You track her down, and under false pretenses, you strike up a friendship. Hannah has no idea who you really are. Then Hannah starts showing up to your coffee dates with telltale bruises, and you realize that she's being abused by her husband, who of course is also your husband, but you've never known him to be violent ever. Who exactly is your husband, and how far would you be willing to go to find out? And who is this mysterious third wife? Truly, I got halfway through the book and thought, just jaw-dropping, okay? That's all I can really say, is that your jaw will drop a million times over, okay? This is a domestic psychological thriller, 10 out of 10. Love this. The next book on this list is The Family Plot by Megan Collins, and this one was just like very, I don't know. Let me just read the description for you. When a family obsessed with true crime gathers to bury their patriarch, horrifying secrets are exposed upon the discovery of another body in his grave. Behind the red door, oh wait, hold on. At 26, Dahlia Lighthouse has a lot to learn when it comes to the real world. Raised in a secluded island mansion deep in the woods and kept isolated by her true crime obsessed parents, she has spent the last several years living on her own but unable to move beyond her past, especially the disappearance of her twin brother Andy when they were 16. With her father's death, Dahlia returns to the house she's avoided for years. But as the rest of the Lighthouse family arrives for the memorial, a gruesome discovery is made. Bearing in their reserved plot is another body, Andy's, his skull split open with an axe. Each member of the family handles the revelation in unusual ways. Her brother Charlie pours his energy into creating a family memorial museum, highlighting their research into the lives of famous murder victims. Her sister Tate forges ahead with her popular dioramas portraying crime scenes, and their mother affects a cheerfully domestic facade, becoming unrecognizable as the woman who performed murder reenactments for her children. As Dahlia grapples with her own grief and horror, she realizes that her eccentric family and the mansion itself may hold the answers to what happened to her twin. First of all, I have a twin brother, so I felt like I could relate a little bit to the way that she felt about her twin brother. Next, I also really enjoyed this because while they were trying to solve a family mystery, there was just like, there's so many details because it said that they're literally true crime obsessed. Like all of the people in the family, all the kids in the family are named after victims of serial killers, which is kind of weird to be honest. So I think I really liked that aspect because it was very different. But I thought it was a really good story, so recommend. The last 2 books are romances and I actually have them in a physical copy. Haven't actually read the physical copy because I also read this one as an ARC through NetGalley, but it's When in Rome by Sarah Adams. And Sarah Adams is one of my favorite authors because I am just like, this is such a palate cleanser book for me. Not just this one, but all of her books. They are so like warm and fuzzy on the inside, and they're also clean romance. So if you're into clean romance, Sarah Adams is your girl. So that's probably why I like it so much. Like I said, it's cute. I kind of have the same feelings about every single one of her books. They just leave me feeling warm and fuzzy. And also, I think this is her best book yet. She's a new one coming out in May, I think, and I'm very excited to read it. So anyway, let me just read the description. Opposites certainly attract for a stranded pop star and the small town baker in this charming slice of romance from Sarah Adams, author of The Cheat Sheet. Amelia Rose, known as Ray Rose to her adoring fans, is burned out from years of maintaining her princess of pop image. Inspired by her favorite Audrey Hepburn film, Roman Holiday, she drives off in the middle of the night for a break in Rome, Kentucky that is. When Noah Walker finds Amelia on his front lawn in her broken down car, he makes it clear that he doesn't have the time or patience for celebrity problems. He's too busy running the pie shop his grandmother left him and reminding his nosy but lovable neighbors to mind their own business. Despite his better judgment, he lets her stay in his guest room, but only until her car is fixed. Then she's on her own. But Noah starts to see a different side of Ray Rose. He sees the real Amelia, kind-hearted and goofy, yet lonely from years in the public eye. He can't help but get close to her. Soon she'll have to return to her glamorous life on tour, but until then, Noah will show Amelia all the charming small-town experiences she's been missing, and she'll help him open his heart to more. Amelia can't resist falling for the cozy town and her grumpy tour guide, but even Audrey has to leave Rome eventually. So I thought this was super cute. 10 out of 10. And the last book I'll actually give you the description for is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I kept seeing this all over TikTok and decided to give it a go. First of all, I think the cover is absolutely stunning, so like if nothing else I probably would have picked it up anyway, but I thought it was really good. It is friends to lovers to strangers to lovers, I think is like the trope that we have here. They say you can never go home again, and for Persephone Fraser, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, has felt too true. Instead of spending glittering summers in the lakeshore of her childhood, she stays home in a stylish apartment in the city, keeping everyone a safe distance from her heart. Until she receives the call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Florrick, a man she never thought she'd have to live without. For 6 summers, through hazy afternoons on the water and warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam had been inseparable. Eventually that friendship turned into something more until it fell apart spectacularly. When Percy returns to the lake for Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is as undeniable as it has always been. But until Percy can confront the decisions she made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistake of their past. Told over the course of 6 years and 1 weekend, Every Summer After is a gorgeously nostalgic look at love and people and choices that mark us forever. I just thought it was really good. I obviously had lots of feelings because I actually annotated this one. But yeah, that was really good, and there's a new book coming out soon as well, and I'm super excited to read it. So those are my top 10, but I did want to list my honorable mentions really quickly. They are as follows. How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder, The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, which I read as a ARC. I think it comes out sometime this month. I'm not sure when it comes out. Lying in Wait by Liz Nugent, Before You Knew My Name by Jacqueline Bublitz, Hostage by Claire McIntosh, The Last to Vanish by Megan Miranda, Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh, and What Happened to the Bennetts by Lisa Scottoline. So those are all of the books that were like top tier for me in 2022. I will link them all down below for you guys because they were so good. I need you to read them. I read most of them. If I don't have the physical copy, then I read it through the library or through NetGalley. So I was super thankful to have access to those and not actually have to pay for most of them. Hold on, let me see. When in Rome, this copy hasn't actually been read. This one was a gift. This one hasn't actually been read either because I read this one on my Kindle also. So, kind of just depends on the book. But overall, I hope you guys have some really good books lined up for 2023, and I highly recommend reading these if you haven't. But with that being said, that is all I have for today. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!